This week, even more celebrities have been dragged into the Diddyverse, including Druski and Odell Beckham. The South Korean military accidentally dropped 8 bombs on a civilian village. You heard that right. America got a new gun, and it's one that uses Face ID and fingerprint scanning. A firing squad execution took place in America for the first time in 15 years, and Poland announced plans to call up every adult male for military training to prepare for you-know-what. Things are getting serious. It's been another crazy week. So if you like the sound of getting into all of that, subscribe if you've never been to a Diddy party. Shame on you that are not subscribing right now, and let's get slipping! Okay, so let's talk about today's headline story. So as you probably heard by now, Druski, along with a few other names like Odell Beckham Jr., have been named as defendants in an updated lawsuit against, of course, Diddy. We're going to be hearing a lot of that name in 2025. I mean, his trial is set for the summer, and it's going to be crazy. But, the person who actually filed this lawsuit is quite unique, because unlike the over 100 alleged victims taking legal action against Diddy, we actually know her name, Ashley Parham. And she's even done in-length interviews like this one with News Nation. However, she didn't publicly, show her face. There's also a little bit of a twist on the Druski side as well, because both he and Odell have already responded to the allegations saying, Druski saying that he wasn't even a public figure in 2018 and he didn't have any connections to the industry. But according to other reports, he did know one person in particular, and we'll get to that. Now, you can go and watch the full 40-minute plus interview, but essentially this is what Ashley Parham is claiming. In her initial lawsuit, she said that she was in the club with a guy called Shane Pierce, who was apparently an associate of Diddy. At some point, she says that he was on FaceTime with Diddy, and in the background, she said that she wasn't impressed by him and that she believed that he was involved in the murder of Tupac. Diddy allegedly heard this and said to her that you're gonna regret ever saying that. He was gonna eat her face, etc. And she said that because of how bizarre those threats were, she didn't really take it seriously. Then, some nights later, the friend of hers, Shane Pierce, that she was at the club with, he called her and said that he wasn't feeling well because of the cancer treatment that he was going through and he needed her to come over so that she could help him open his medicine. She claims that when she went over, he was actually fine. He offered her a glass of water, and after she drank it, she kind of felt off as if she was drugged. She then claims that a while later, a bunch of guys then boisterously enter the home, and one of those was Diddy, and he said to her, "I bet you never thought you'd see me again." She claims that he then pressed a knife against her face, threatening to give her a Glasgow smile, which is, Now, in the interview at the time, she said that it was at this point where they removed all of her clothes and then took turns, started SAing her. I hope you get what that is. Can't really say it on YouTube. But that she only knew the names of 2 people, which is Shane Pierce and Diddy. Which kind of brings us to today, because now months later, she's updated that lawsuit with including names of more people that she's come to know. And 2 of those names are Druski and Odell Beckham Jr. And a warning, because these allegations get wild. So I'm just gonna read it to you word for word, bar for bar, so strap in. The lawsuit claims after, Diddy instructed him to do so, instead of immediately SAing the plaintiff, defendant Druski doused the plaintiff with more oil and lubricant and then jumped on top of the plaintiff's naked, oiled up body, treating it like a slip and slide and knocking the wind out of the plaintiff due to his enormous size. Yeah, you see where this is going. Defendant Druski then caught himself from sliding over the plaintiff's oiled body and off the bed, and then he began SAing the plaintiff as well. While defendant Druski was SAing the plaintiff, defendant Diddy was sat in a chair near the bed and began pleasuring himself while recording. She then goes on to say that Odell Beckham Jr. was instructed to do the same to her, but he was referred to as Cornelius by Diddy, which she now says that Cornelius is his middle name. Now, other key points in all of this, and bear in mind, I'm just rapid firing going through it. There's much more detail to it. But Ashley did go to the police after this incident and she did file a report, but she didn't name Diddy. Contra Costa's Sheriff's Department spokesperson, Jimmy Lee, which is where this all happened, allegedly, confirmed in an email that at the time a report was taken on the 23rd of March, 2018. He said, "We take these cases seriously and the detectives thoroughly investigated the accusation. It was later determined that the claims were unfounded." found it. Despite this though, 6 years later, she has filed a lawsuit, along with many others. And she is demanding $50 million in damages and, interestingly, not a settlement, but a jury trial. Druski and Odell have both come out almost on the same day, I believe, to deny these allegations. Druski said on his story, "This allegation is a fabricated lie. I wasn't a public figure in 2018. I was broke living with my mom without any connections to the entertainment industry at the time of this allegation. So the inclusion of my name is truly outlandish. My heart breaks for the actual victims of abuse, and I'm fully confident that the evidence will expose this falsehood and the individuals who are maliciously trying to game the legal system to peddle false narratives." But now here's the other interesting side of all of this. So Druski started uploading his comedy skit content in around 2017, and it didn't take long for his current manager, Johnny Snipes, to recognize his talent. Remember that name. According to Complex, Snipes first connected with Druski when he had between 10 and 20,000 followers on Instagram, but he didn't officially start managing Druski until he was close to 1 million followers. So we can safely say that in 2017 or 2018, Druski was at least in contact with Snipes. But how involved they were is unclear. We don't know. Now here's the reason why I bring this up, because perhaps Snipes is the reason why Druski has got that connection to Diddy. And you know, we've all seen the connection. We've seen the video that they've made together.
Owned by a black man. Don't mind if I do. I wouldn't, shot.
Druski has spoken about on multiple podcasts, being at Diddy parties, but, not those Diddy parties.
Yeah, were you at any of the Diddy parties, or did you miss that?
What the where did that come from? How did that? Of all questions.
Wait, did you miss that train?
How did no, I wasn't at that train station.
You left early? Left early?
No, that was down the street from me. I wasn't there.
And then also being close with Diddy's son. So, yeah, it's safe to say he's got a connection, but why? Because let's be real, a lot of people blow up on social media, but very few happen to blow up and then swerve into the Diddyverse like it was 2001. So why did Druski? Oh, and if you're wondering for the whole Odell Beckham and Druski connection, well, Druski was actually invited to live in Odell Beckham Jr.'s house in 2020 for the pandemic time, which we'll get back to again. But focusing on Diddy, that one connection between Druski Diddy could be Snipes, because Johnny met Diddy all the way back in 2000 and actually worked for him for several years. He was his intern. In fact, Snipes' first job role for Diddy was literally finding a location for one of Diddy's retreats for his Bad Boy Records staff. Snipes even spoke about this in a podcast.
I had my fair share of good times at puffy parties. I did. I never saw any of the crazy shit, for the record. I never saw any of the crazy shit.
Now, I probably have to point out, none of this means that they're all cooked, all right? It doesn't actually mean anything apart from perhaps explaining why Druski has the connections that he does. And it also shows that, in that world, the Hollywood world, if you have the talent and, most importantly, the right connections, you can literally go from being broke in 2018, living with your mom with no connections to the entertainment industry, to being rich and living with one of the world's most famous footballers just 2 years later. That's like a quick blow up. There's a lot more to this topic that I couldn't add just because we're pressed for time today, but I'm sure we're definitely going to be revisiting this topic a lot as time goes on, especially towards his trial. So for now, that's a wrap. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but moving on. Also this week, a firing squad execution took place in America for the first time in 15 years. What is going on? Well, this is 67-year-old Brad Sigmund. And he was actually given the death sentence in 2002 for brutally murdering his ex-girlfriend's parents with a baseball bat. And I'm just gonna spare you the details. I wish I was spared the details, but I had to look at it because it's truly as brutal as you could imagine. Let's just put it that way and leave it there. Anyway, 23 years later after that, his execution was carried out on Friday, the 7th of March, making him South Carolina's first death row inmate ever to be executed by a firing squad. Sigmund was led into what's called the death chamber and was strapped into a metal chair. He was dressed in a black jumpsuit and a hood was placed over his head. A small aim point was placed over his heart, and 3 members of the firing squad, armed with rifles loaded with bullets that are designed to expand and fragment on impact, that's supposed to help with a more instantaneous death, fired simultaneously through a rectangular opening in the wall of the death chamber 15 feet away. For his last words, Sigmund cited 4 Bible quotes that he said revealed, "Nowhere does God in the New Testament give man the authority to kill another man." I mean, kind of ironic when you think about it, considering the reason he's in that chair in the first place saying those words. And he was actually given the death sentence in 2002 for brutally murdering his ex-girlfriend's parents with a baseball bat. And he said it through a statement, which his attorney read out loud, "I want my closing statement to be one of love and calling my fellow Christians to help us end the death penalty." Brutally murdering his ex-girlfriend's parents with a baseball bat. Witnesses to the execution, because yes, there are those too, which you wouldn't exactly imagine with this kind of death, included members of the victim's family, law enforcement agents, media representatives, and Sigmund's spiritual advisor and attorney. Now, Sigmund was actually given 3 choices of execution: firing squad, lethal injection, and of course the electric chair. He was actually the one who chose a firing squad because he expressed concerns about the potential pain associated with the other methods, with a baseball bat. So the question is, what do you guys think? Should a firing squad be a thing in 2025 or not? Well, I asked my Instagram audience. If you want to put it in the comments, please let me know. But also, if you just want to know what people think, out of 70,000 votes, 72% said yes, it should be, and 28% said no, it shouldn't. Okay, moving on. This next one it's actually insane, because also this week, South Korea's military accidentally, and I put quotes in accidentally because I'm still trying to wrap my head around how this is an accident, but they dropped 8 bombs on a civilian village near the North Korean border during training. 100% real, this is somehow. Reports say that one of their fighter jet pilots entered the wrong coordinates of where to release these bombs. More on that in a second. Now, this resulted in them dropping 8 bombs weighing about 500 pounds each by mistake. Also, this happened during a joint military exercise with the United States, known as Freedom Shield, which is an annual drill designed to simulate war scenarios against North Korea. Now, several buildings were damaged by all of these bombs being dropped, including homes and even a Catholic church. And a couple of the explosions even left craters on the ground. Surprisingly, though, despite the destruction, no one actually died. Only 8 were injured. Oh, sorry. No, reports now say, updates live on the scene. We are now hearing that has risen to 15. Hair in my face. Sorry, I wouldn't be very professional live on air. There's so much fluff running around here. Well, I don't even know where it's coming from. I think it's still that Grinch hand. Look at this. I don't know if you can see, but look, if I shake this a little bit, can you see that? I don't know, whatever. Sorry, let me continue. The military said, "We are sorry for the damage caused by the abnormal drop accident, and we wish the injured a speedy recovery." They also said that they will be compensating the victims. We don't know how much the compensation is for, getting a bomb dropped on you. Like to know, though. But I mean, the question that everyone is asking is how an accident like this could even happen in the first place. And also, 8 of them? I mean, I'm assuming 8 of them were just released at once, because dropping them one by one accidentally, whoops, that would just be ridiculous. Just about as ridiculous as our next story. Because planes. What is going on with them in 2025? Because also this week, a Southwest flight was forced to return to its gate after a woman stripped down completely naked and started walking up and down the aisles. She reportedly ran around screaming naked for 20 to 30 minutes while berating the passengers on this packed flight. She harassed the flight attendants and even started pounding on the cockpit door. When the plane eventually returned to Houston Airport's gate, a worker covered her in blankets, but then the woman took off. I don't know where. Police said that she was taken to a hospital for a mental evaluation and she isn't facing any charges yet. The news with crazy incidents of planes just for this week hasn't stopped there. Because an Air India flight heading to Chicago was forced to turn back mid-journey after nearly all of its toilets, apart from one, were clogged with feces and stopped working. And you want to know how many passengers were on this flight? About 300. 300 passengers, one toilet working, and it was in business class. So, oh man. And this was a 10-hour journey. Insane. And obviously, with no choice, you're not going to make the full trip. They said, turn this puppy around back to New Delhi. Oh, and guess what? Plane news doesn't stop there. Just yesterday, a plane carrying 5 people crashed into a parking lot in Mannheim Township in Pennsylvania. Prior to the crash, a pilot reported an open door situation and was attempting to return to the airport. Obviously, they never made it there. They made it close, but they crashed in an airport, and miraculously, all 5 passengers survived. They were, however, taken to hospital. We actually don't know how they're doing as of right now. Also miraculously, no injuries were reported on the ground, no buildings were damaged, and just cars were kind of cooked. So yeah, that's your weekly wrap of wild plane incidents. Catch you next week. Moving on. Also this week, America got a new gun, and it's one that uses facial recognition and fingerprint scanning. You'd think it'd be a freaking phone. Well, it is called the BioFire Smart Gun. It's the first to actually hit the market because this is actually not even a new idea. It's been tried and tried for decades, but no one's done it right, so to say. And it's also much more controversial than you think. You see, to try and push for more gun safety, this firearm only works when it's in the hand of its registered owner, and only after they scan their face or their finger. And when it leaves their hand, unusable. It just locks. And it's trickier to build one of these things than you think, because it's not just a gun with like a little fingerprint scanner slapped on the top. It's actually the first gun ever to not rely on a physical trigger mechanism, but rather uses an electrical signal to fire the bullet. And it can only get that electrical signal if it's in the owner's hands. And also, because of all of that smart tech inside the gun, it costs like twice the price at $1,500. Now, also, I did say that it was more controversial than you think, because gun control advocates say that it's a great idea because at least, you know, they would rather put a lot more restrictions on guns, but at least this one couldn't be in the wrong hands of, like, let's say, a criminal or a child. On the other side, the firearms enthusiasts, they fear that this technology could malfunction, you know, at the time you need it the most, which, let's all be honest, that would be a thought that goes through your mind. Intruder comes in, you try and scan your face or your thumb, it's not working, your hands get sweaty, and it's over. You know, your life is depending on this. They do, however, say that it's gone through rigorous testing. Also, those gun enthusiasts fear that this technology could be used as a slippery slope for more gun control laws in the future. What do you guys think? You know, is this the gun that America needs or not? Again, asked my Instagram, and 64% said yes, it is the gun that America needs, and 36% said no way. Moving on. Oh, also, speaking about picking up guns, if you were a man in Poland, you might want to hear this. This week, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, which, yes, I know, sounds like we're in an alternate universe where Donald Trump and Elon Musk have morphed together. Anyway, he announced that plans are currently being made to prepare large-scale military training for every adult male in Poland. Yeah. Getting real. He said, we will try to have a model ready by the end of this year so that every adult male in Poland is trained in the event of war. He said that Poland needs an army of around 500,000 people, including reservists, and currently they're about 200,000-ish. So they need to more than double its size. Oh, and don't think you're safe, the rest of Europe, if any of you are watching, because also this week, all 27 EU member countries approved a Rearm Europe program that will see them increase defense spending by 800 billion. 800 billion. You might as well call it an even 1 trillion at that point. Why make it 1 trillion? Don't stop there. It's wild. I mean, I've said it before in previous videos, and I'll say it again. We are witnessing a huge reshaping of global politics right now. And there is one man largely responsible for all of this, you know, right now. For better, whether you think it's a good reshaping or a bad reshaping, it's down to one man, leader of the most powerful military, the most powerful economy, Donald Trump, the United States. Surprisingly, he's had a little bit of a quieter week this week than usual, which is saying something. Despite that, he still said something that shocked everyone. Obviously, we've spoken about in previous videos that some people are criticizing him for being too friendly to Russia, but this week he completely switched up, you know, and everyone was like, what? He said in a post, based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, I am strongly considering banking sanctions, and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire is agreed. He said, to Russia and Ukraine. Get to the table right now before it's too late. Man, there is not a single day where I wake up this year that I could have predicted what was gonna happen. It's a wild job that I do. This year especially. For the last few years it's been truly wild. Now, if you are seeing this version of the video, Alex and I have just simply not had time to give you what you want. The rapid fire news at the end. I know you want it. I know that I'm gonna see comments, but every single video that goes out is like down to the wire. And this time it's either no video or including rapid fire news. It's truly one of those. I hope you forgive me because I've never ever been late on this channel ever before. Like seriously not once, which deserves a subscribe and an applause, both of them preferably. But I'll make it up this week, I promise. I love you guys. See you later. Woo!